Good afternoon. Jeff Cole here with Kris Hudson in our weather center here on Channel 7. We want to bring you some information here in terms of the weather that we are experiencing as we continue to track what is or what was Hurricane Debby. So here we are with a lot of rain in the region. We have some severe weather to talk about, and Kris is going to go into that for us. But the main problem right now, in my opinion, and I think Kris and I have talked about this, is the rain. The rain that is going to be falling and still going to be falling as we move through the afternoon, the next couple of hours, really, when the buckets of rain will be just coming down in the North Country. So first, with the severe weather and what kind of warnings that we have posted right now, Kris, go through those for us,
Yeah,
please.
so we'll go ahead and go through the warnings for you real quick, and there's a slew of them, so bear with me as I kind of pop this up for you. We do have a flood watch. That's the green area here for St. Lawrence County. Then we have a flash flood warning. That's for Jefferson County in this reddish maroon colored area. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that does have the tag of what they're saying tornado possible, because this is a tropical system, so quick spin ups are possible. And then this light green area that does include all of Jefferson and Lewis counties, that is a flood warning. So all of Jefferson County, all of Lewis County currently under a flood warning. And then kind of to talk about this, because I've received a couple of questions on it. This yellow shaded area, that is a tornado watch. It does not include the Tri-County region. That's out towards the Adirondacks, the Mohawk Valley, and the Capital region. But here closer to home, we're dealing with that flash flood threat. We're seeing that flash flooding out there, especially here in Jefferson County, as some of the hardest rain is moving through right now. I'll kind of switch it back over to our radar again, Jeff, with our warnings on there. That way we can
This is what I want to show people is, it could back that out just a little bit to show the state, if you would, Kris, because the reason that we're on the air is to tell you about these warnings. But in terms of the precipitation that this storm is bringing right now, if you take a look at it with Watertown and the North Country, our sliver of the world here in New York State is really where the most of the precipitation is going to fall with this storm as it moves through. So it could have been anywhere, right? But in terms of the way that this storm is moving through the North Country, moving through the state, moving through the rest of the country, we are getting the most amount of rain with this. It's just the way that it's been flowing through. So as we now maybe zoom in just a little bit more, if you would, Kris, on this.
Before we do that, we're talking about the state. Notice all of the flash flood warnings throughout the entire state. Through the Finger Lakes region, over towards Syracuse, even the Catskills have flash flood warnings and stuff. And we're really just getting started with the heavy rain. We've had rain all throughout the day, but the heaviest of the rain is just now starting. But like you were saying, kind of zooming back in here, that axis of heavy rain, I'll kind of turn off this the legends here. That way you can see it a little bit better. But that axis of heavy rain is right here in this circled area, and it is moving very, very slowly. It's been raining very hard here in Jefferson County for probably the past hour and a half, and we're seeing rainfall rates of 1.5 to 2 inches an hour out there, and it's going to take another 2 hours for this to completely clear out, and then we still have scattered rain that's going to be back on the backside of this.
So take those numbers that Kris just gave us, and let's do some math. If we're doing 1.5 inches or 2 inches an hour, and this is going to be with us for the next couple of hours, we are talking those rainfall totals of perhaps 3 to 4 inches. We did talk about how it could be 5 or 6 inches of rain for some folks. Now, we've seen what that kind of rain does, especially in Lewis County. And the heaviest of the precipitation is moving toward the Tug Hill right now in terms of Lowville and places New Bremen, town of Watson, the areas that have had trouble in the past over the July storms. That is the area that this storm is moving toward right now. Important to note, this doesn't have the energy and doesn't have the rotation. I know there's a low end risk of a tornado with this, okay? We just say it because it needs to be said. The National Weather Service has put that out. That's really not the biggest concern with this. This isn't as much of a violent storm, more so a very wet storm.
Correct. So let's think back to when Beryl come through here, the remnants of Beryl. There was a lot of spin in the atmosphere, and that's because where the center of circulation was with that area of low pressure, it was more towards our north. We were on what we call the dirty side of the storm, where things are mixing around. With this one, the center is going right through us. So what that means, it's a heavy rainmaker, and we're seeing that out there right now. I have the 12-hour rainfall estimates kind of pulled up, and we can kind of go through them for you. But you can see just how much rain.
Is this what has fallen or what could? This is going to tell us what has fallen.
This is radar estimates of what has fallen out there. And we're seeing 3.5 inches of rain already for southern Jefferson County. It is still raining out there. We'll just kind of go ahead, zoom on in here, and go through this county by county. You can see Watertown to Adams to Ellisburg, Mansville have had the heaviest rain so far.
That heavy rain that already has fallen where it's shaded purple on the screen, that's moving east, northeast,
Correct.
over into Lewis County's up next.
Correct. So down there towards, say, Ellisburg and Mansville, we've already seen a little over 4.5 inches of rain. Of course, this is radar estimated over the past 12 hours. So this doesn't include what fell last night. We had some heavy rain move through early last night. That doesn't include this. So we're talking about Lewis County going to be expecting the heavy rain. So far, you've had 1.5 inches radar estimated in this blue, darker blue area.
Which can happen. You can absorb that, but it's when it comes down in just buckets, and which it is going to be happening in the next little bit here. When you get so much rain so quickly, that is when that flash flood warning comes into effect, right? There's a flood warning for Jefferson and Lewis counties, okay? But then you take that a little bit more to a flash flood warning. That means water's going to accumulate very, very quickly. Jefferson County is under that flash flood warning. Lewis County isn't right now. They're just under the flood warning. Some difference here, but let's keep in mind that, again, a lot of that rain is now moving into Lewis County.
Correct.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think that you would either, if all of a sudden we see maybe a flash flood warning for Lewis County pop up in the next hour.
That flash flood warning, that is on the way for Lewis County. It's just a matter of time when the heaviest of precipitation moves in. It's going to be issued. I have the 1 hour rainfall estimate pulled up for you here. And you can see, remember how we were talking about Lewis County, past 12 hours, had 1.5 inches of rain over the past 12 hours. Over the past hour, where the heaviest of the rain's moving through, we're seeing 1 to 2 inches of rain falling from that. Rainfall rates are even higher than that. We have rainfall rates estimated going all the way up to 2 to 3 inches an hour, where some of the heaviest of the rain's falling in these thunderstorms. Because you have to look at this when we're talking about our radar. There's a lot of meteorology that goes into this, a lot of science that goes into it. But notice how it's kind of moving through. Each one of these is what we call an individual cell that's kind of moving through. So it's each a storm in itself. So when we're zooming in here, we see these oranges and we see these reds. I'll kind of take off this white colored shaded area because what that's doing is trying to pick up on the heaviest of the rain or even some small hail that is possible, but we're not really seeing that out there, so I'll kind of take that off. But these red shaded areas, that's where we could be seeing rainfall estimates of 2 inches an hour or more. And what that's going to do when you're driving down the road, there's going to be puddling on the roads, a lot of runoff out there. We've already had a lot of runoff throughout the day. And it's going to cause hydroplaning and flooded basements, because where the red shaded area and the orange shaded area is, that's where the heaviest rain is currently falling. And so if you're in the town of Houndsville over towards Rodman or Adams and you're like, oh, finally, we got a nice little break, don't worry. Notice there's another line of very heavy rain back behind that's going to be moving in. So
just to reset for you, we are tracking what are the remnants of Hurricane Debbie, and it's a lot of rain that's moving through the North Country right now. There are things that are posted between a flash flood warning, a flood warning, a flood watch. So a lot of things to worry about here. And we focused on Jefferson and Lewis counties as we have this rain, but notice St. Lawrence County, of course, getting in with some of the heaviest precipitation as well. And again, an area that has some areas of St. Lawrence County had some July storms as well, and is well saturated, right? And so some problems could emerge as you look at this rainfall that we're going to be experiencing for today. So from right now, we're about what, 3:45?
We're 3:47.
3:47. So when does this get over with?
So the worst of it for Jefferson, Lewis counties is within the next 2 hours. Then St. Lawrence County, the heavy rain is going to move in there. We're already seeing heavy rain. The heaviest of the excess of rain that we're going to see with this system, it's going to fall in the North Country right in this area. So pretty much the entire Tri-County region is going to see very heavy rain. Some areas in this location, in the circled area, could see another 3 inches of rain before this is over with. St. Lawrence County, I don't think this is over until probably 8 or 9 o'clock this evening, but Jefferson County is probably going to be over with closer to 6 when the heaviest of the rain is done. Lewis County, you're probably going to be right around that 4 to 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock time frame of when the heaviest of rain is over with. So if you're in Lowville, Gregg, Watson, those areas that got hit really hard back in July with the flash flooding. The heavy rain is moving in, and it is moving slowly.
Right.
And remember how quickly flash flooding can happen and the power that water has. So if you come across a flooded roadway, do not drive through it. Turn around, don't drown. You don't know if that road's still under there or not.
True, and we've seen that, right? Lewis County just torn apart with the roads and culverts during the July storm. So that's the update that we have, and we'll continue to keep you updated here, but also on our weather app, on our news app, but also at First at 5 with John Moore. 6 o'clock broadcast will have the latest as well, and we'll continue to track what is happening here. But just know, we'll put information at the bottom of the screen, but just know that we are in the thick of it when it comes to the rain that's falling over the next couple of hours. We're looking at another 2, 3, 4 inches worth of rain could be falling in parts of the North Country, going till about 6 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock. St. Lawrence County a little bit later than that, but just know that this is a significant storm that's moving through, and we could have some significant ramifications because of it. So for Kris Hudson, Jeff Cole will be back on the air if we need to, but in the time being, in the next little bit, we'll be on at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and we'll see you then.